You don't owe the bank money. You owe it time. Hours, days, years you haven't even lived yet. That's the real currency of the modern world. Not dollars, not crypto, not gold. It's your time. The system doesn't just take your money, it takes your life in advance. You just don't notice it because it's wrapped in contracts, paychecks, and interest rates. When you take a loan, you're not borrowing cash. You're selling a piece of your future. The hours you'll spend at a desk, in traffic, behind a counter, under fluorescent lights. Every signature on a loan document is a time machine. It pulls your future forward and gives it to someone else today. And they charge you interest for the privilege. It sounds dramatic, but it's true. Because the entire global economy runs on this quiet exchange. Your time for their capital, your future for their profit, your effort for their ownership. Once upon a time, debt was about survival. Farmers borrowed to plant crops, builders borrowed to build homes. Time and money were connected to something real. Creation, production, progress. But over the past century, debt stopped financing creation. It started financing control. The modern system was born in 1971 when money stopped being backed by gold. It started being backed by you. When President Nixon ended the gold standard, he didn't just detach the dollar from metal. He attached it to human labor. From that day forward, every dollar in existence became a claim on future work. When governments borrow, they don't promise to pay back with gold or goods. They promise to pay back with your taxes, your inflation, your time. Debt became the fuel of progress and the leash around every neck. The average person now spends the first 20 years of adulthood paying for education, housing, and the cost of simply existing in an economy designed for credit. The result is simple. Most of your life is already spoken for before you even begin. Think about it. You borrow for college. That's your 20s gone. You borrow for a car. That's a year gone. You borrow for a house. That's 30 more. You're told it's normal. You're told it's freedom. But how free can you be when every decision has already been monetized? That's not living. That's serving a contract. The system disguises it beautifully. You don't feel like a debtor. You feel like a participant. You buy now, pay later. You finance your dreams. You invest in your future. Every slogan sounds empowering. But the math is always the same. They own your time. The banks, the investors, the institutions. They don't need to force you. They just need to price your life so that working forever feels like progress. They call it GDP growth. They call it opportunity. But what it really is the industrialization of time itself. Every hour you work is turned into data, productivity, taxes, interest, and profit. The system has found a way to monetize even the minutes you're not spending. When you scroll, your attention is sold. When you borrow, your labor is sold. When you spend, your future is sold. Money is no longer a tool, it's a timer. And that timer started ticking the moment you were born. When you entered the world, your government already owed more than it could repay. That debt was a promise, a claim on the taxes you'd pay one day. From the very beginning, your labor was part of the collateral. That's why national debt never truly goes down. It can't. Because the system isn't meant to repay, it's meant to renew. Each generation inherits the last generation's debt and calls it economic growth. Each new wave of workers keeps the machine turning, paying for promises made long before they were born. It's not a conspiracy, it's accounting. Because when you look at the numbers, the illusion becomes obvious. The global economy owes more money than exists. The US alone carries over $36 trillion of debt. The world's total debt, governments, corporations, households combined, is more than $300 trillion. That's 4 times the value of everything produced on Earth in a year. How do you repay something that big? You don't. You extend it. You inflate it. You roll it forward into the future. Your future. The system keeps running because you keep believing that work will catch up with debt. That if you just stay productive enough, smart enough, disciplined enough, you'll beat the clock. But the clock isn't designed to stop. Inflation ensures that no matter how much you save, time runs faster than your money grows. Wages rise slower than prices. Your effort buys less each year. The treadmill speeds up, and somehow you're told it's progress. Every few years, politicians promise relief. They offer tax cuts, stimulus checks, wage hikes, but it never lasts. Because these solutions aren't meant to fix the system. They're meant to reset your hope, to keep you believing that the next cycle will be different. But it never is. You work harder, borrow more, consume more, and call it growth. The system calls it stability, but really, it's dependency disguised as success. Because every dollar you earn, spend, and save feeds the same machine. Your taxes service government debt. Your loan service corporate debt. Your consumption keeps both alive. You're not an individual in the economy. You are the economy. The rich don't need to take your money. They already own your time. They sit at the top of the system, collecting the interest, not just on loans, but on life itself. Your 30-year mortgage is their passive income. Your student loan is their bond yield. Your taxes pay for the debt that funds their assets. It's not theft, it's structure. The modern economy has turned every human life into a long-term investment. Not for you, but for someone else. You generate returns just by existing, working, and aging inside it. And what makes the system brilliant is that it doesn't feel like oppression. It feels like ambition. You chase promotions, build businesses, hustle harder, thinking you're escaping. But every success story feeds the same top of the pyramid, because no matter how high you climb, the rules never change. The money you make is taxed, the wealth they make is protected. You buy liabilities, they buy assets. You pay interest, they collect it. You sell your time, they sell your money. It's the perfect system, one where the harder you work, the more efficient it becomes at using you. And the moment you try to step off the treadmill, the system reminds you what you owe. Bills, debt, responsibility, survival. That's how you trap billions of people without walls, without guards, without violence. You just make sure they owe too much time to ever stop running. You're not lazy, you're leveraged. You're not poor because you lack talent. You're poor because you were born into a world where time flows uphill and money follows it. But every system built on borrowed time eventually runs out of it, because time, unlike money, can't be printed. And when that realization spreads, when people stop trading their years for promises, the system that owns their future begins to tremble. That's where the real story begins. The illusion of freedom collapses quietly, not with rebellion, but with exhaustion. People start to sense that something's wrong. They work harder, earn more, yet somehow feel poor. They chase success, but never arrive. And one day they realize what's been stolen wasn't their money. It was their time. That's the final stage of the trap. The moment you start trading your future for your present, just to survive. But now, something new is happening. A new kind of system is forming, one that doesn't just use your time, it automates it. In the past, your labor was the foundation of value. You worked, you got paid, but automation changed that equation. Machines don't rest. Algorithms don't need salaries. Artificial intelligence doesn't need weekends. And yet, instead of freeing people from work, automation has done the opposite. It's made their time cheaper. Every major breakthrough that was supposed to save time has done one thing instead: monetized it. Emails made communication faster, so we send more. Smartphones made work portable, so it never stops. Algorithms made tasks efficient, so we're expected to do more in less time. Productivity rises endlessly, but free time vanishes. And as AI replaces labor, something extraordinary happens. Your time stops being valuable, but it doesn't stop being owned. You still owe. Governments still collect taxes. Banks still collect interest. Corporations still demand consumption. The system doesn't care who does the work, human or machine, as long as someone keeps paying the bills. So if your labor is no longer needed, your data becomes the substitute. Your clicks, your habits, your attention, that's the new collateral. In the old world, you sold your hours. In the new world, you sell your behavior. Every app, every feed, every platform is designed to trap fragments of your attention, seconds and minutes that can be packaged, sold, and monetized. You think you're scrolling freely, but the time you spend is already booked as revenue on someone else's balance sheet. You're not losing money. You're losing moments. The currency that never renews. The wealth machine evolved. It no longer just measures time, it mines it. Artificial intelligence feeds on prediction, and prediction requires patterns. The more data you produce, the more predictable you become. The more predictable you become, the more profitable you are. That's the modern paradox. The freer you appear online, the more controlled your future becomes. And now with digital finance, the system is closing the loop completely. Central bank digital currencies, programmable payments, algorithmic credit scoring, they don't just measure your time. They can decide how you use it. Imagine a world where your spending is automatically optimized by AI, where your taxes are deducted in real time, where your social credit or risk profile adjusts your interest rates instantly. It sounds efficient, but what it really means is that every decision you make becomes a transaction inside a system that never forgets. This is the final evolution of time as currency. Total transparency, total optimization, total control. Because when money becomes programmable, time becomes permissioned. Your future is no longer yours. It's managed, modeled, and monetized before you even live it. And that's not science fiction. It's already happening. The same algorithms that predict your next purchase are now predicting your next paycheck. Fintech lenders approve or deny you based on invisible data points you'll never see. AI systems can calculate the value of your lifetime earnings before you've earned them. You've become a line item in a predictive model. Your existence reduced to probabilities, your time translated into cash flows. The rich don't need to control labor anymore. They control expectations. They own the models that define what your time is worth and how much of it you're allowed to keep. Inflation ensures you can't save it. Taxes ensure you can't escape it. And automation ensures you can't stop feeding it. It's not oppression, it's optimization. The machine doesn't hate you, it just doesn't need you, except as fuel. Every time you upgrade your phone, take a loan, or click agree, you give the system more leverage over your life, more data to price you, more contracts to bind you, more hours of your future quietly pledged away. And the genius of it all? You think you're choosing it. Because the system doesn't tell you you're trapped. It gives you rewards, miles, cash back, subscriptions, microdoses of dopamine to keep you engaged. You work for comfort, not survival. You're not forced, you're persuaded. And that's the new form of debt. Not financial, but psychological. You owe attention. You owe productivity. You owe relevance. The moment you stop participating, you start disappearing. And so you keep moving, faster, longer, harder, until one day you realize the finish line was never real. The promise was always freedom. The product was always time. Every civilization eventually builds a story to justify its systems. Ours tells you that debt is normal, that inflation is necessary, that constant growth is progress. But progress for who? If growth means working more hours to own less, if innovation means losing control of your own time, if freedom means debt without end, maybe the system isn't evolving. Maybe it's feeding. Because time is the one thing you can't create more of. And the people who control it don't print it. They harvest it. The modern world doesn't need slaves. It just needs schedules. It doesn't need to take your rights. It just needs to take your hours. And as long as you keep trading your life for survival, it will keep winning. But here's the truth it doesn't want you to see. The moment you realize your time is your only real wealth, the illusion starts to crack. Every hour you reclaim, from pointless consumption, from endless scrolling, from working to maintain someone else's empire, weakens the machine. Every moment of stillness, every act of refusal, every time you say enough, takes a piece of your future back. Because wealth isn't what you own, it's what you don't owe. And freedom isn't money in the bank, it's time unpromised. The world built its empire on your tomorrow. It's time to take it back.